You're lying on a cold table, staring at those bright clinical lights. A mask settles over your face, and a voice asks you to count backward from 10. You might reach 7, maybe 6 if you're particularly stubborn, and then nothing. There is no darkness, no slow drift into dreams, and absolutely zero sense of time passing. 1 second you're looking at a clock, and the very next, a nurse is gently shaking your shoulder to tell you the surgery is over. 4 hours have vanished. Your body was opened, repaired, and stitched back together, but you weren't there for any of it. It's a seamless gap in your existence that raises a question most of us never stop to consider. When your consciousness is chemically switched off, where exactly do you go? And how does your brain manage to put you back together again afterward? We often call this going to sleep, but let's be honest for a second. That is a massive medical lie. Doctors use that phrase because telling a patient we are about to chemically suppress your entire central nervous system isn't exactly great for keeping people calm before surgery. In reality, general anesthesia and sleep look almost nothing alike on a brain scan. When you sleep, your brain is actually quite busy. It cycles through stages, processes memories, and even runs vivid dream sequences. It's more like a computer in sleep mode. The screen is off, but the processor is still humming away. Anesthesia is different. It's like someone reached behind the desk and pulled the power cord directly out of the wall. Your brain doesn't cycle. It drops into a deep, stable state of suppression and stays there, suspended in a void where the concept of self simply ceases to function. So if you aren't sleeping, what is actually happening inside your head? For a long time, we thought anesthesia worked like a master switch that just turned the brain off. But modern neuroscience suggests something much more fascinating. Think of your brain as a massive, bustling office building where thousands of people are constantly talking to each other. Consciousness isn't located in one specific office. It's the result of all those people collaborating and sharing information across different floors. General anesthesia doesn't necessarily kick everyone out of the building. Instead, it acts like a global communication strike. It cuts the phone lines and disables the internet. The people in the accounting department might still be sitting at their desks, and the marketing team might still be shuffling papers, but they can no longer talk to each other. You become a collection of isolated islands of activity, and without that integrated conversation, the unified you simply stops being assembled. This leads to the most mind-bending part of the experience, the total disappearance of time. Have you ever noticed that even after a heavy, dreamless night of sleep, you still have a fuzzy gut feeling that several hours have passed? That's because your brain has a dedicated machinery for tracking duration. But under anesthesia, that machinery is specifically targeted and locked. Researchers believe the drugs focus on the hippocampus, the brain's gatekeeper for new memories. By blocking this region, anesthesia doesn't just stop you from feeling the surgery, it prevents your brain from forming a timeline of the event. A 4-hour operation and a 40-minute procedure feel identical because there is no inside experiencing the passage of time. You aren't waiting in the dark. You are literally skipping over a chapter of your life. Of course, the idea of disappearing while someone has a scalpel near you is a bit terrifying. We've all heard those rare horror stories about anesthesia awareness, where someone wakes up but can't move. It's the ultimate nightmare scenario, but statistically, it's incredibly rare, happening in about 1 out of every 1,000 surgeries. Most of the time, even if a tiny fragment of awareness occurs, the drugs ensure you won't remember a single second of it. It's a strange, small mercy of modern medicine. You might have been technically there for a fleeting moment, but the version of you that wakes up has no record of it. It's as if it happened to a completely different person. But the real human drama begins when it's time to come back. Waking up from anesthesia isn't like flicking a light switch. It's more like a messy, chaotic computer reboot. Your brain doesn't bring all its systems back online at the same speed. First, the basic stuff returns. Your heart rate stabilizes, your reflexes kick in, and you start breathing on your own. But the higher order cognitive functions, your logic, your judgment, and your social filters, take much longer to plug back in. This is why people do the most hilariously bizarre things in the recovery room. You might find yourself crying hysterically because you can't find your left sock, or you might confidently propose marriage to the anesthesiologist you just met. There are stories of patients waking up and trying to order a pizza from the heart monitor, or insisting they are a secret agent on a mission. This isn't a glitch in your personality. It's just your brain trying to run its logic software before the memory drive has fully finished loading. You are essentially a toddler in a grown-up's body for about 30 minutes. There is something deeply profound about this process. It suggests that our sense of self, everything that makes you you, is actually a very fragile, carefully balanced construction. We like to think of our soul or our consciousness as something permanent and unshakable, but anesthesia proves that you are really just a continuous flow of information. When that flow is interrupted, you vanish. When the flow resumes, you return. It's a miracle that our brains can be scattered into a billion pieces and then put back together so perfectly that we don't even feel the gap. We've built an entire branch of medicine around safely inducing this temporary state of non-existence, and we do it millions of times every year without a second thought. It's the ultimate act of trust. You lie down, you give up your consciousness to a stranger, and you trust that they can pull you back from the void. And every single time you wake up, your brain quietly and effortlessly reassembles the puzzle of your identity, connection by connection, until you feel like you never left. So the next time you find yourself on that operating table, don't worry about where you're going or if you'll get lost in the silence. Your brain has been practicing being you since the day you were born, and it's very good at its job. The only thing you should truly be concerned about is the fact that for about 20 minutes after you wake up, you will have absolutely no filter. Just try not to confess your deepest, darkest secrets to the nurse who's just trying to check your blood pressure. Because while the surgery might be over, the reboot phase is when the real entertainment begins. And honestly, after surviving a temporary trip out of existence, having to explain why you tried to buy the hospital with imaginary money is a very small price to pay. At least you won't remember saying it, though your family almost certainly will. A 400,000-year-old brain is a masterpiece of engineering, but it still hasn't figured out how to keep its mouth shut while the judgment system is still stuck on the loading screen.